Tony Robbins again says it best. Is like change happens instantly. People delay for 10 years that instant moment of change. You can decide which person you want to be, which is the second thing they rob themselves from, is, like what you were saying, the ability to look back and be proud.
Let's dive right in, right?
Yeah, Ken, let's do it.
into the pod. Corbin, I'm glad you hopped on. I'm honored you hopped on because
Thank you,
this
brother.
has been coming. We
Yeah,
should have done this a long time ago, but it's all good.
I know.
Feel free to
Yeah, glad to
introduce
be here,
yourself,
bro.
my brother. To the
Absolutely, man.
audience.
So, yeah, my name is Corbin. Pretty much I run a business called sixfigurefitpro.co. Dominic was one of my clients way back. And essentially what we were doing was more along like the brand building side of things. Nowadays, what we mainly do is just help fitness coaches scale out their businesses to 20K a month, and been doing this for about 2 years now. It's been an absolute privilege and an honor to get to work with some really cool people. And it definitely didn't start off like this. It wasn't easy by any stretch of the imagination, but praise God for giving me the strength to kind of get through my journey, in entrepreneurship. And we're just beginning. I mean, I'm on my 6th year now of entrepreneurship, and I know there's going to be way more ups, way more downs. But I'm like super stoked for it, like genuinely so honored, like that God gave me the strength to push through so much stuff, get the thing that I wanted the most, and keep going.
What is that?
Yeah.
Thing you wanted the most?
Great question. I started like most people, like I wanted financial freedom, right? And like for the sake of, I want financial freedom for me, for my family, for loved ones. I remember
Where did that
like
come from, Corbin? Where did
Yeah,
that come
great
from?
question.
Why did you want to start? Like, why
Yeah.
did you want financial freedom?
So my parents, God bless them. I grew up in like a regular household. Dad worked, mum worked. My parents weren't like affluent by any stretch of the imagination. And it was only like years later that, we found out they had a lot of financial struggles, but they just never let us know about things.
Oh,
Right.
shit.
And, they pulled it together, they made it happen, did what they needed to do. And then when my parents divorced, I was like 13. And that's kind of where it became really apparent of like the financial struggles. Like it was a lot of like kind of messy, you know what I mean? My mum kind of took everything from my dad, but my dad like held his own, like stayed in there, got second mortgage just to make it work. And I look up to my dad as a hero, genuinely. Like he wasn't rich or anything like that. But what he taught me about like, financially wasn't rich. Didn't have a lot of cash. He worked in travel. He was like a travel agent, right? Never really made a lot of money. Most travel agents don't. But one thing my dad did above all else, which I thank him for so much because it taught me so much, like observing it. Come hell or high water, he'd be there. He'd get up. He'd go to work. If he was sick as a dog, he wouldn't miss a day. Some days when he was really like taken out in the hospital, you know what I mean? Like of course he'd be off work, but yeah. He was just a provider, like the purest sense of a provider. I'm like, man, if I can be a fraction of that, I know I'm going to be a good man.
That rubbed off on you, didn't it?
100%. And my sister's like that as well. My mum, works incredibly hard. So I had really great role models, not in terms of here's how you make a lot of money, but like here's how you like put in great work. Here's how you sacrifice. Here's how you like push.
I think that's really interesting that you mentioned that because I think that character trait of being resilient, of putting in the work, is one of the best character traits you can have because
Absolutely.
now you're in a position where you understand leverage too. Now you combine leverage and then hard work, and that's where things really get interesting, right?
Brother, you're speaking my love language, man. Like this is what we do for a lot of the clients anyways. Like we're big believers in leverage, like automation, delegation. It doesn't mean that you should be lazy now. It means we've bought all of this time with the systems, but now you should be sitting on top of your business, doing the big work, the stuff that moves the needle forward. You drive the vision. It doesn't mean you're lazy now all of a sudden. Just now I've got people doing work for me. Like you can't be an irresponsible leader. And I'm so grateful to my parents and to God for the upbringing that I had, that I didn't come from a rich family, but they taught me so much. They role modeled so much about hard work for me. And I'm like, all right, this is how it goes. This is how it is. And so that desire, as you were asking earlier, like where the financial freedom thing came from, like why I even wanted that in the first place, was because I did see the struggle. That like you can't ignore it at the end of the day, right? And I always told myself like,
Yeah.
I personally want to be free of this. I want my family to be free of it as well. It doesn't mean I'm going to raise my kids rich, God willing, if I ever have, if God blesses me with children. Like, I'm not going to raise my kids rich, right?
Yeah.
Not spoiled.
Yeah.
Going to teach
Why
me
not?
something.
Why not? Because,
Brother,
yeah.
I don't know. You see it around, like you see how rich kids that come from rich families, they're just kind of handed everything. They have no idea how to earn anything. They have no value to the world, to the marketplace. It's just daddy's money. That will never come from me. Absolutely impossible. No way. You know what I mean?
It's really interesting that you mentioned that because I grew up around some richer people and I never respected them because I was like, cool, your dad's giving you a Mercedes, but did you? No.
No.
Like, I don't even want my parents' money, like, because it doesn't fulfill me. Because at the end of the day, that's what I'm chasing. I'm not chasing money I'm
Exactly.
chasing fulfillment at the end of the day. And I think you can relate to that a lot.
Yeah, Drake says it best in one of his songs. It's like the only thing worth chasing is a dream, right? Not women, not nothing. It's the only thing worth chasing is a dream, right? But if you've just been,
really profound line.
Yeah, if you've just been given everything though, like, where's the ambition? This is why so many, like, you see, like, the rich kids, they get into drugs, they get into all this stuff, is because, like, their life is already, like, to the max. They need something else to, like, give them that. That's what we are fortunate to get. We don't need to be in drugs. We don't need to be in alcohol and all this other garbage. Is like us, that feeling of like more is the pursuit, right? Like, how incredible of an opportunity is that?
But that's a beautiful thing. And this is really interesting that you mentioned this, Corbin, because I sort of want to just real quick digress into my story because I always say, like, again, I don't envy, for example, the kids of celebrities or these things because
Right.
I'm like, cool, you live this amazing life, but yeah, I don't envy you because you have everything and you don't know the worth of things. And I want to touch on hard times because I know that, for example, these celebrities, they are who they are because of the hard times, because of the shit they went through. And I always think, like, one day, how will I handle my kids of, like, giving them everything they want, but at the same time, like, if I really wanted the best for them, wouldn't I want them to go through hard times? And where I want to go with this is because when I started, or long time ago, I lost my father at the age of 13, quite tragically, quite early. And at the time, Corbin, as a 13-year-old, you think, why is everything going against me? Why is this happening? Blah, 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 right? And it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool. And the thing is that looking back, it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me because I'm such a big believer in... It's an interesting perspective to have now. It's like, oh, your father passing is one of the best things that could ever happened to you, right?
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm saying that is just because I believe that the hard times are the things that really make you into the person you can become. Because of that, Corbin, I went to Germany and I was like, this is my father's dream. I need to pursue this thing for football. And because of that, Corbin, I learned so many character traits. I became the man who I am today because of those hard times. And maybe share a story where you went through some harder times that sort of looking back are like, shit, that might be one of the best things that ever happened to me, right?
For sure, man. I mean, I've got plenty, but I just want to quickly jump back to yours because super interesting. So you were saying was it your dad's dream for you that you would go and pursue soccer, was it?
Well, it was always my dream, but because of, I was like, I needed to do it because at the age of 14 then, I had the opportunity to travel to Germany and join a football academy there.
Incredible.
And for weeks, Corbin, I was thinking about it because a year prior, I just lost my father. And I was like, should I leave home? Should I leave my mom? I just lost my father. Should I leave my brothers? Right? it was a
Wow.
big decision for me. But
Right.
the reason why I want to share this is because the reason I went then and took the chance was because someone pointed out to me was, what would your father want you to do, right?
Okay.
And as a 14-year-old kid, I thought, yeah, he would want me to go because I know he he loved football, but he that's what he would have wanted for me, right?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
at the time, Corbin, I was the most shy, insecure kid you would
Really?
have ever seen, imagined.
Wouldn't
I
wouldn't have
was that
guessed.
dude. I couldn't look people in the eyes, right? It was that bad.
Oh, man.
And it's crazy because I took that step and it was so uncomfortable. It was so scary. New country. I was 14 years old. New
14. Yeah.
people. All
Nuts.
these things, leaving home, just lost my father. It was a massive step
Yeah.
for me. But like I said, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, right? And one of the reasons I left was because of my father's death. And
Yeah.
I became who I am today because I was like, I'm doing this, and
Wow.
I jumped into the deep end. And the thing is, Corbin, it still was a process, right? But
For
because
sure.
of that event, I was like starting to get addicted to getting uncomfortable because we
Sick.
like habit creatures, or like we see patterns, and then we're like, okay, I did this and this happened. Okay, let me do more of it, right?
Right.
And if you can get addicted to the good things and the things that will get you the outcomes that you want, I think life gets really, really interesting. And now I'm at a point where
Incredible.
I'm like, I'm addicted to getting uncomfortable because I know that's where growth happens, right? And it
Yeah.
all
That's it.
started,
Yeah.
and the reason why I'm sharing this is because it all started with that event
Yeah.
that made me get
Tragic. Yeah.
uncomfortable.
And then yeah. But that's actually like unreal. Like, you were 14, like had like your world kind of crumble around you, and then made a decision to leave your country. Like you're on your own. You're trying to figure it out. That's insane. Like I think because in filming all these modules, like I prepared like big mindset modules. I've just found like the more I progress every year, I'm learning more stuff as an entrepreneur. Like I'm so far from perfect. No one's perfect. Like I'm always learning, and I just keep coming back
Love your
now,
mindset.
realizing, thank you, brother, like the importance of mindset. And like when I was earlier on in like entrepreneurship, I kind of neglected it. I'm like, oh no, the strategies, all you need to worry about is the strategies, the mindset's whatever. But the strategies, if it works, it works. Being on the other end, teaching people, I've realized two people can get the same strategy, have different mindsets and get different results, right? It always happens. Why I'm saying this is because I hear all the time, like people say, they want it, whatever it is, they want it so bad, and they'll do nothing to let go of their current life, their comforts, right? What they're used to, what they expect. They'll do nothing to let go of that in order to make room for this great big thing that they want. They believe that they can just inherit this amazing goal that they want with no sacrifice. You at 14, like, did probably the hardest thing I've heard most people ever have to do. At 14 is nuts, right? To put yourself in that position, way out of your comfort zone, to pursue this dream that you and your dad both had, learn incredible skills, become who you are. I have no doubt, like you're like I was surprised chatting to you the other day, like how young you are and how successful you are. I'm like, that's nuts. That had to have come from somewhere. And I had no idea about this, this situation with your father when you were 14, right? It all makes sense to me now. It's like, even as a 14-year-old, you knew the value of, figuratively, putting your money where your mouth is, right? If you want it, like, you were willing to throw yourself in the most uncomfortable situation ever. That's insane. Most full-grown adults make all the excuses in the world as to why they can't do it, why they refuse to give up the life that they have now for the life they want most. And of course they stay in the same position.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that most people make all these excuses
Yeah,
and don't take action?
great question. I was filming a module on this, actually. I'm like a really visual learner. I love drawing things out. Like, got a little, like, kind of like virtual whiteboard.
Yeah,
I do all my
me
modules
too.
on there.
I love
Yeah,
it.
it's great. And I was drawing this out and explaining to people, like, how do you actually escape your comfort zone, leave your comfort zone behind forever? It's so interesting you're saying addicted to feeling of discomfort, right? And I wanted to break down like the psychology behind it, because Tony Robbins, absolute hero of mine, genuinely changed my life in so many different accounts. I've got stories for days on this, right? One of the things he says in his book is like, if you want success and you're not successful, but other people you see around you do have the same level of success as you, or that you want, it's because they make, I think it was like 3 different decisions. They decide what to focus on, they decide what it means, and they decide what to do next, like the action, right? And so, if we take...
Why is the what it means important?
I'll tell you exactly why, using this example. Imagine like a circle. That's your comfort zone, okay? Most people exist in the comfort zone their whole life. They say, I want this thing, I want financial freedom, I want this thing. And God, in all of his grace, gives everybody an opportunity to prove it. God is so giving, he's so gracious. If you say you want it, and you pray to God at the start of the year, God, I want all these big, amazing goals that I've never achieved in my life. I want to become this person that I've never been before. This is what I want. Be careful what you wish for. He will give it to you, but it's on the other side of a test. And that test is always hard. It always shares a few characteristics. It's always going to require a degree of sacrifice. It is going to be hard, right? And in that circle, the way I imagine it is, imagine in that moment you are moving out of your comfort zone. You're approaching it. But in that comfort zone, there's all of this resistance layers inside that are designed to keep you in your comfort zone. Now, in their defense, it's a safety mechanism. This comes from back when our ancestors were hunters and gatherers. If it's risky, I might die, I need to extend the bloodline, play it safe. But we're not there anymore, right?
Yeah.
Still though, people default to that. And so when you approach that moment when it's scary, like you deciding to leave at 14. For other people, it's on a sales call, deciding to take the next step to invest. They all get to that point. And when it's scary, when it's risky, when it's uncomfortable, the people who never progress decide that feeling is bad.
Yeah.
They make the decision.
They decide.
That's right. In themselves, they make the decision. This feeling is bad. This is a risk. I could risk my current livelihood. I'm not going to do it. I will play it safe. That's what they do. If my current way of living, I'm not dying, then I should stay here. They decide that feeling is bad. Winners, you've had this moment. I know you've had this moment so many times, because you leaving for Germany is not the only moment that you've had, not the only moment I've had. We've been in your comfort zone always increases, by the way, right? It always increases. As your ambition grows, that is the next biggest bubble. But as your ambition grows, your comfort zone increases too, right? This is why even as people progress financially, some people want to get to 10K a month and they stay there. Some people get to 100K a month and they stay there. But why aren't you growing more?
Why do they stay there? Why do they stay there? Because I think I know why, but tell me.
Again, for me at least, the simplest explanation is it just comes down to this, is people deciding themselves, this comfort zone, I have 2 choices here, either get really uncomfortable and take the risk, or be like, you know what, this life I've got right now, it's not perfect, but I'm not dying. I'm used to this. This makes sense for my life. I'd rather stay here instead of risking it.
Curious though, because look, someone who makes maybe 100K and then gets comfortable, they are still the type of person that gets uncomfortable. Now, why do they stay at 100K and don't progress if they are the type of person that would get uncomfortable?
I'll answer it like this. I don't know. I haven't hit 100K a month yet. That is the goal for this year, you know.
Let me ask you, what do you think of this? I listened to a podcast of Alex Hormozi, and I got this a lot from Atomic Habits as well. Do you think that maybe it's because they set themselves a goal of, I want to reach 100K. Once they reached it, they got comfortable because that was the goal. Now, as opposed to if they set the goal of, I want to be the type of person that does these activities, that continuously gets out of their comfort zone. It's not tied to the goal because that's not the goal. And I've tried to shift that in my life, Corbin. Yes, I want certain milestones, but for me, it's more important. What type of person am I becoming, right? What
Right.
character traits am I building, right? And
Mm,
that is way more important than the outcome. And guess what happens? If I do reach 100K, if I do reach whatever goal I want to have, if I do get my six pack, it's not like I'm stopping here. I'm the type of
right.
person that shows up,
Yeah.
right? And it's kind of
Great.
ironic because, Corbin, I think that is even more crucial to long-term success because getting too attached to an outcome, it can be very discouraging at times because let's say you don't reach it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, as opposed
Yeah,
to
that's
if
right.
your goal is just what person am I becoming? Okay, what actions do I need to take to become that person?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
If I showed up, I won. Like getting into
That's right.
shape, right?
That's right.
Okay, we know it's fairly people overcomplicate it. Let's if you want to lose weight, eat less, be more active, right? Cool. Now, if your goal is not to lose weight, but to become the type of person that is healthy and in shape, okay, have a look at a person who is healthy and in shape. What are they doing? Cool, let me do those things. If I'm doing those things, I'm winning. And the crazy
That's
thing
right.
is,
That's right.
you will get less attached to the outcome. You'll be even more successful because if you reach your outcome, you continue and you
That's right.
take it to another level because
Yeah.
it's just the passion you're becoming. And
Yeah.
when you do then reach these milestones, it's a nice surprise. But it's not the goal
Yeah.
to begin with.
Beautiful.
What's
So
your
well said, man.
perspective on that?
Yeah, absolutely stunning. Beautiful, beautiful. I I was actually chatting to a buddy of mine, and the way I describe it is I'm addicted to progress. Whatever I have to do, like the actions you took, whatever actions that I need to take in order to have that progress, I'll do. That, by the way, the beauty of it, it's a perpetual, like you say, it's a perpetual process, and you're fulfilled by the journey, right?
Yeah.
The destination is one thing, great, cool, 100K, it's just different numbers. It's just numbers on the screen. The number changes every year, right? But it's like who you become, you said it so well, who you become on that journey is the actual prize. And when I started entrepreneurship 5 years ago, man, I mean, like, I was doing it the way most people would want to do it, you know, like, want to make 100K this year, like, yeah, it's the goal, you know what I mean? And I was actually taking a look back on who I was back then, and I
Who you
realized,
were.
yeah. Do you know what? Who I was though, I shared the same mentality I have now. In terms of actual like physically who I was, how I communicate, of course, like that's where the progress comes in. I've actually got a video of like me when I made my first videos on Instagram to promote like marketing, whatever. I spoke with a lisp. I didn't even know. I didn't even know I had a lisp until I looked at this video, right?
Interesting.
But who I was as that person, again, it's that same like objective. I wanted progress. I was willing to do what no one else was willing to do. Everyone else said they wanted it. I was going to prove it, right? And that guy in front of friends and family, right, on his little Instagram account would post these. Now it's kind of like embarrassing, but I'm like, I owe everything to that dude, that 19-year-old kid. I owe everything to him. Speaking with a lisp, just as confidently as he could possibly speak, I owe everything to that dude, right?
That's so insane. That's so insane
You
that
know,
you mentioned that because I just want to touch on that real quick because I don't know how you feel about this, but it's just looking back. I just recently, when was it? When you know when the New Year is like, you sometimes think back and you think back how far you've come, and I feel like we don't take enough time. I'm sure you can relate just to appreciate how far we've come. But the reason I want to share this is because looking back, I feel the same way. I started at when was it? I stopped my football thing in 2021. That was April, and at that moment, I decided. I always knew greatness was in me. I was never like, okay, let me
sure.
stop football. Just gonna go partying, right? No, I was like, what's next? What's next, right?
Right.
So I stopped
Amazing,
football,
amazing.
and then at the age of not yeah, I was 19. Yeah, I was 19. 2021. I was like, I'm gonna do this fitness thing, right? And to your point, I'm so fucking proud of that dude because
Yeah, yeah.
for a year straight, I just put my head down. I completely transformed my life.
Beautiful.
I still remember vividly my dad telling me like, what's this dude doing? Getting up at 5 a.m. almost every single day, weekend. I overdid it, right? I overdid it, but that's not the point because I was training the consistency muscle. I was training the muscle of resilience. But I was winter, rain. It's so crazy to remember it back because my desire was so strong, Corbin. I didn't care what weather it was. I did not care. 5 a.m. It was snowing, wind.
That's it.
I got up, cold shower. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Because I wanted it so badly, and I wanted to touch on this because I was in a position of pain. Because I didn't like my situation, and I was like, I'm gonna put in the work to change this because I fucking want this. And the reason I'm sharing this is because I feel like there's so many people out there who are going through something that is not cool, through pain. They don't like their situation. They broke. They're out of shape. They don't like the way they look. And I'm like, my brother, use that pain. Use it. It's potential energy.
Exactly.
Right? And you were in that position, I'm sure, a couple of years ago, and you used it, right?
Yeah, man, absolutely. And before I dive into that, like the lesson here for anyone as well, coming back to that comfort zone thing is that feeling of like discomfort. People who avoid that and write it off as bad rob themselves of their own superpower. Because like you said, pain, no matter what motivator you use, whether it's rage, pain. I remember my motivation for getting in business was a girl broke up with me. Love of my life when I was 18, broke up with me. And I had really like two choices. I could go into fitness, get jacked, or I could go into business, get rich.
That's usually the thing.
You know what I mean? It's usually one of those two. And I remember like her family like always like try to like make it clear like they were rich, they were doing well. The girl I was with, she would say like, oh, like my uncle makes like 10K a month. Like back then I was like, whoa, 10K a month. And like that for me, like they were holding it over my head, right? Like I was dealing with a big illness. I couldn't really go on work. I was 18 and they were like, how are you going to provide for my daughter and marry? I'm like, I'm 18, bro. Like, what do you want me to do, right? Anyway, so that was my motivator. What motivated me was like, what motivated me was like revenge, right? That was like the big motivator for me to get into it. Hermosi says it best, like use whatever you got. But people rob themselves of that. They rob themselves of two things, of that fire that they can have underneath them if they're uncomfortable. Great. Like, what, do you think that people make a change when life is great, when they're going good? No. You make a change when things are shit and you actually need some help. You need to make a change. What person do you know that's actually like living a great life, they're happy? Why would they even need to make a change? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The time you should make a change is when life sucks, when you're not happy with yourself, when you look in the mirror, when you're not happy with what you see, when you're demotivated, when you're depressed, when it's a risk to invest. That's the time you should do it. That's the first thing they rob themselves.
Why don't people do it, Corbin? Why don't people do it?
No idea, brother. This is why it's called the 1% for a reason. 100% of people want a better life. Only 1% are willing to actually fucking put their money where their mouth is.
Do you think you're born with it, or is it?
No.
What do you think?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Because I don't believe that either.
So. No, I think you can absolutely decide. Tony Robbins again says it best. Is like change happens instantly. People delay for 10 years that instant moment of change. You can decide which person you want to be, which is the second thing they rob themselves from, is, like what you were saying, the ability to look back and be proud, right? You're robbing yourself from that moment of you can progress, right? Let's just say, for example, right, all the programs we do, right, we typically promise people a certain result in a certain designated time frame. Okay, great. Yeah. Let's say they use the system, they chip away at it, but let's say they only really get like 70, 80% of the result. If it takes another 6 months and you actually progress, are you going to be upset that you progressed, that you made a change, that you became the person you never were before? Are you going to be mad at that? No, of course not. You're going to be fucking stoked. You're like, oh my God, like now I can have that moment of looking back. I've got those photos of when I was overweight, right? I have in my diary what it felt like. I had voice memos of when I was alone, when I had no partner with me. Now, I've got the six-pack. I'm able to attract the quality partner I want in my life. I'm happier. I'm stronger, right? In mind and in body. I'm the kind of guy that pushes myself. You're robbing yourself of that. Forget the six pack and that kind of shit. What you feel in that, you're robbing yourself of it entirely, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I just don't get
really
it, right?
interesting, Cole. Like, because it's the story, right? It's the. I like telling people. Okay, cool. If you had a six pack when you were born, you're rich, and everything was going great. Where's the story? It's the story from rags to riches, right?
That's right.
And
That's
that's
right.
the thing. Like, if you're like right now, you're freaking broke, you're overweight, you don't see a light anywhere. Think about it this way. If you do get out of it, imagine the story you'll be able to tell. Imagine the people you'll be able to inspire. And back to your earlier point, Corbin, of people getting stuck in this one decision needs to change my life. And then guess what happens? They get stuck in analysis paralysis and they never move. Because they think of joining your coaching program and they're like, is this decision going to change my life? Is this one thing going to be the thing that's going to get me to the promised land? And Hormozi described it really well, Corbin. He was like, it's like a bridge. Think of it like a bridge. Okay, this coaching program is just a brick. But is it going to get you closer?
Yeah.
Yes, so
Yes.
why would you be upset?
Yes, it will. Exactly. Exactly.
Why would you be upset? But now you're taking action. And to really touch on this, when I started another part of my journey, which was the entrepreneurial journey, probably another really, I have like multiple. It's like the football, then the fitness, and then the entrepreneurial journey. And the entrepreneurial journey was actually one of the scariest ones because money is tricky because it's the thing that keeps you alive and it gets you the food and all these things like a house and a roof over your head. And there was a moment I decided, Corbin, I was working at the time for my parents and I was working at the bakery and they own a bakery, right? And I was doing that. I was earning not a lot of money, like 7,000 rand a month, which is about $350, right? A month. Working 8 hours. I was like, yeah, this is fine. Going out on weekends sometimes. And there came a point in my life, I was like, no, do I want this for the rest of my life? Do I genuinely want to take over the bakery? No. And I made a decision. And I feel like when most people just don't progress is they don't make that decision. And I made a decision. I bought Iman Gaji's course. And
Classic.
It was $1,000. And it was a massive, massive investment for me. But guess what, Corbin? I had the fucking confidence that I would put in the work. I didn't always have the confidence in, okay, my speaking ability, my ability to have a sales call, my ability to produce an amazing product. But I had the confidence that I would put in the work. Why?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I had that from working out and I had that from football. I knew that was the type of person I was. And the reason I want to share this is because if you're in a position right now and you don't like where you are, fucking take a bet on yourself. Take action because what's the alternative? You don't. And then your life doesn't change and you continue to stay stuck, right? And I bet you, even if it's not the right investment, I've made so many investments in my life, so many coaching programs that weren't the right thing. But guess what? I took action. And there were so many other programs that completely changed my life. But guess what? There were always lessons, even in the ones that weren't the right ones. Keep moving and take action. And that's for anyone listening right now. If you're stuck, go ahead, Cole.
Absolutely. Yeah, brother, spot on, man. Like, I think people have a bit of a skewed view when it comes to investing. If we look at any kind of coaching, fitness coaching or business, they have almost a skewed view of it. Like what you said, the brick in the bridge analogy is perfect. Most people, unfortunately, have never given themselves that moment where they get to prove who they are, right? What they do in those moments where they shrink back into their comfort zone is prove the opposite. They prove cowardice. They prove saying one thing and then doing the opposite. They keep lying to themselves. This is why you see for so many people, their aunties, their uncles, family members, they had dreams that they could never accomplish because when it came down to the wire, they did nothing about it. When shit got hard, they quit, right? Yeah. Like, people expect every investment you make to always pay off big. Every coach to always make you more money. Everything you do to always be perfect. Like, what business owner do you know who had a 100% success rate? It's impossible. It doesn't exist. Like, the losses are part of it, but people who aren't conditioned to that, and I totally understand there are people who just haven't had that moment yet. When you get into it, you understand this a bit more, but it's like, it's getting into it that's the hardest thing for people. It's never, ever, ever going to be the most perfect stream. If it was supposed to go like this, you start here and you end up here, everyone would do it.
Yeah.
But why is it called the 1% for a reason? Because if you look at that Nike tick, that's everyone's journey. You start off at uninformed optimism. This is going to be the one. This is it. Yes, let's go. And then there's always that moment where it drops down. This is the valley of despair, right? This is God.
It's harder than you thought, right?
That's right. This is God testing you, right? Because everyone, even the 1%ers that succeed, they all have that drop where it's like, fuck. You all have that moment. Every single one's got that moment. The winners make it.
Because
you have to understand it's part of the process. People are misinformed when they get into something, right? That could be our fault on sales calls. That could be their lack of their wrong expectations. People are misinformed when they get into something, right? They expect that, okay, well, the system you said is great. You've got all these case studies and results. You said you're going to be helping me. Well, like, why wouldn't it just be like this? It's never like this. It's never, ever like this. It's impossible. Name me one, right?
Yeah.
It happens like this. And people freak out because, like, it's not supposed to be this way. It's not supposed to be this way. I never should have left my comfort zone. This is way more than I can handle. This is uncomfortable. It shouldn't be like this. This is where you make or break yourself. This is where winners are made. So if you are watching this and you haven't had that moment where you get to become the higher version of yourself, a capable person that you've never been before, this is that moment. This is actually what you buy. When you buy mentorship, when you buy the new journey, this is actually what you buy. Because remember, like we were saying earlier, yes, you can get to the figure, right? The 6 figures, whatever number. Sure, that's the end result. Yeah. But the prize is in that dip. That's actually what you get. You get to prove what kind of person you're going to be. You're going to stick it out. You're going to be a bitch. What are you going to do? Right? That's actually the prize. You get two. You get that moment of building yourself and getting the check. If you actually stay in it, you don't quit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's a really, because I just think like, I have a sticky note on my thing. I have a lot of sticky notes because I feel like we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. And I have a little note there. I'm like, don't be a bitch. You ain't done shit yet. And it's just a reminder of, bro, you ain't done shit yet. But for me, the main thing is the way I get myself through those hard times is like, you know, it's hard right now. Okay. This is when everyone stops. This is when everyone stops. Oh, you that dude? No. You're different.
Yeah, exactly.
You're different.
Exactly.
You cut from a different cloth. This is when everyone stopped. And you know what? I'm going to smile through these hard times because I know I'll look back one day and I'll be like, fuck, I'm fucking proud of that
Talk your shit.
That's it. Through that shit. You know what
I'm saying? My man. Great shit, brother. Great shit. And something else, actually, I made this video just the start of the year. It's something that I learned. And it was like an identity shift I actually went through at the beginning of this year. I noticed it too in like the content that I made last year versus now in this year. Now my content, I'm much more aggressive.
In what way?
In my
more
unwillingness.
Controversial, more...
I'd say in my unwillingness to tolerate bullshit, excuses, that kind of thing.
Like your message?
We're both in message, just in my delivery, my tone. Like, we're both in coaching, brother. We know what it's like. You know what I mean? People give you whack-ass excuses all the time, say why they can't get it done, and then have the audacity to say, someone else won because of these reasons, and I'm not like that. I have it harder. somehow they're supposed to make their life better, right? At these days, I realize I have a very low tolerance for that because I'm here to produce winners, right? I am at certain times as a coach, it is our job to call people out, to help them progress. You have a choice. You can be offended by it and shrink back into your comfort zone, or recognize that, hey, I'm uncomfortable. This is a great sign. I'm about to exit my comfort zone. Get the thing. I should listen. So what happened at the beginning of the year, I went through this identity shift. All of a sudden, I remembered, if you've ever heard this before, let me know, but people always say ultra successful people have three things in common. They have like a superiority complex. They feel they're better than other people, right? Number two, they have crippling insecurity that they're not enough, right? Which is kind of the opposite. And then number three, it was something else. Can't even remember, right? But it was that first one. It was the feeling that you were better than someone else.
Yeah.
I have a caveat here. Right?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I heard that for years, and I'm like, no. I don't want to feel like I'm better than anyone else. Everyone's different. Everyone's got their own story. I don't want to feel like that, right? I've changed this, actually. The reason I've given myself permission to feel superior, to feel better, and I'm going somewhere with this. I might sound like a dick to some of the people watching, but I am going somewhere with this, right? The reason I've given myself permission to feel that way is because I've earned it. Has nothing to do with how much money I've made. It has nothing to do with XYZ. No numbers on the screen. It's because I do, not even did, past tense, I actively do the shit that all of these entrepreneurs say they want but are not willing to do. I have earned it, right?
Yeah.
In the same way I was saying earlier, people rob themselves from the moment where they get to look back and see the progress. People rob themselves from that feeling that, yeah, I'm better than you. I am better because, not because of how much money I've made or any vain metric, but because if you put me and you in a room together, I will destroy you, right? In whatever field it is, I'm that mindset.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. I love that, Corbin.
Right? You know what I'm saying, right? And that you cannot get that by faking it. You have to fucking earn it. And praise God for giving us those opportunities where we could earn that level of confidence, that level of arrogance, right? And weak-minded people that are losers, that have only ever lost, never had that moment, they'll listen to what I'm saying, to this mindset, and they'll be scared by it and say, what a dick. What a dick. He feels he's better than me. Yes, I do. Because if you've never done that for yourself, consistently, year after year, proving to yourself what kind of man or woman you're going to be. If you've never done that, we're not even on the same league. I'll clean you out in whatever it is. I will end you. I'll destroy you because you're not that guy. You're not that kind of person. I'll go further and faster than you every single time. There's no doubt. Right?
It's crazy because it's like I love this. I love all of this. By the way, the third one is a delayed gratification. So it's a superiority complex. Then it's a crippling insecurity at the same time, and then it's delayed gratification.
Delayed gratification.
Now, the reason I wanted to touch on this too is because I come from football and sports, and I think it's a beautiful thing playing some sort of type
competitive.
of competitive.
Whether
it's chess or basketball or football, there's something about it where it gives you that character trait of I'm that dude, and you start looking at it as a game. And by the way, I think you should look at life as a game because it is a game. There's no rules. It's all made up. And the further you progress, the more you realize that it's all a game, right? Having said that, right? I look at it this way too. If I'm let's say in a shit situation, right? I look at it like this. Okay, if I was 2-0 down first half in football, would I just be like, boys, let's pack our bags, let's go home. They've got the game. No, let's go. It's 2-0, bro. We'll get 2 goals in no time, and then we back square one, and then we'll finish them off anyway. Like we that do, right? And I look at it the same freaking way, right? When you're in tough times, let's go. And that's that mentality. Like, if you're making excuses, I want you as my opponent, right? I'll destroy
Great.
you.
I'll end you, bro. I'll
Eat you
destroy
up.
you.
I'll
Please
eat you
come
up,
this way.
right?
Come this way. Come this way.
And
Yeah.
exactly, and basically, back to the thing you earlier mentioned was, I lost my train of thought. Was it? Ah, yeah, the content, right? I'm just thinking more and more because I'm glad you mentioned that because I think I'm making a shift too, and I want to make that shift of like, I was hiding a little bit of who I truly am, what I
Yeah.
truly stand
Yeah,
for.
I love it.
Because when you're starting out, Corbin, I'm sure you can relate. You're like, yeah, what if they don't resonate with me? They won't sign up for my coach. These I'm like, okay, great, amazing that you don't resonate with me because
Exactly.
I don't want you. I don't want you. If you ain't that
Exactly.
dude,
Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
want you. I don't give a
Get out.
fuck. Go away.
Yeah.
Go somewhere else
Yeah.
because you ain't that dude and you will not be successful with my program
Yeah.
if you do not have that mentality.
Yeah, exactly. Bro, I've refunded people within the first week. Like when they get into the program
Insane.
and I can tell that they're just not that guy. I'm like, hey man, I said in a voice, I'm like, hey man, I'll be honest with you, brother. I really don't think this is for you. Like, I'm just straight up because like I actually had this moment. It was recently actually another example of this, and gave the program to someone and just asking straight up stupid questions. Like everyone gets access to the modules. And he was asking me, like, bombarding everyone in, like, the Discord channel, like, hey, like, where are the modules? Where are the modules? I'm like, are you fucking serious? It's in front of your eyes. Like, it's right there. Not a single person in the program has asked me that kind of question. And, again, like what you're saying, in the beginning stages, you kind of just roll with the punches. Like, oh, yeah, hey, man, it's over here. Like, I called him up straight away. I'm like, hey, brother, I'm going to be honest with you now, right? I've never had a single person ask me this. It's right here. You're one step away from it, but you didn't even bother to look. If we're at the start of the program, this is gonna get harder, brother. If you can't even find the fucking module, I really don't think this is for you, man. Right? And then later on, he sent me, like, he was just making an excuse, and he was sending me this like, oh well, like, other programs, the modules are laid out differently. Like, well, our modules are laid out like this, buddy. All right, it's how it is, right? And he said, I'm not too sure if this is for me. And I'm like, why do you think that is? And he's like, as a head coach, I think you should be more patient with people. I'm like, I'm the most patient. I give my clients the most amount of support ever. It's my job as a head coach to call you out on bullshit if you're not that guy, right? To make you that guy. Either that, or I'm gonna just let you operate like a fucking worm, right? And then I haven't done a great job. I'm not here to just make you money. I'm here to make you a better person. And so when I identify that, exactly what you said, with people who I know are just not going to fucking cut it, I'll just tell them. I have no issue refunding people because I'm not dealing with that headache. I'm not dealing with anyone that I can't turn into a fucking savage, that doesn't want to turn into a savage, that wants to play it safe, wants me to be nice. I used to be like that last year. Ever since the start of the year, made that shift. And I'm just like, no. We're here to fucking win. We're here to get results. It's not going to come easy. You need to transform as a person, as an individual, into a better leader for yourself and for your team. That's not going to come easy. I'm not going to baby feed you. Spoon feed you. Like, if you want that, go to some other fucking brand new coach that's just starting who's going to kiss your ass. That's not me. Sorry. Never be me. Not anymore.
You become a better leader because of that. I can just already hear your tonality and everything and the way you come across.
Yeah.
You've definitely become a better leader because of that. And just to touch on that, like, I always say, like, if I have a kid, if I genuinely want the best for that kid, I'll coach them hard because I know that's what they need. And the same way, if you're a coach, if you actually want the best for them, not just please them, but you actually want the best for them, wouldn't you also coach them hard?
Exactly. That's right. And since making that shift, I've found, by the way, not only a record month for ourselves and our business in January, right? Because my content's just more aggressive. I'm just more authentic to me. But clients have been getting better results because at certain times, I will be harder on them. Set expectations. I'm not like this all the time. Sometimes it's a genuine question. Cool, there's a problem in yourself. Go. But if I can see someone slacking, someone's delaying, someone could be achieving amazing things and they're not, it's out of a place of love. It's out of a place of knowing, hey, listen, I know you can get this result, but we need to make a change here. Has nothing to do with strategy. It's to do with you, right? That's out of love. If you don't want to work with a coach who's going to push you out of your comfort zone, you're never going to get results. Why? Because the results you currently get is based on who you are, what you do, the way you think, the way you make decisions. If you could get more, you would, but you cannot because you are not. You are not the kind of person who can attract more because you are this. You're in your comfort zone. Any Muppet coach who's going to kiss your ass and just keep you here is not actually going to make you money or get you in shape. They're going to keep you here just to please you because they don't want you to refund. I don't give a fuck. Refund away. But I'm here to do my job, which is to get you here. Same way you're here to do your job. You're here to get people crazy results. It's not going to come easily. It's not going to come being the same person you've always been. You have to make a change. Right?
But guess what? It's worth it.
So worth it. Oh my God. Oh my God.
If people just knew, my brother, it's gonna be hard. Yes, but it's gonna be worth it. And I feel like we've sort of really encapsulated this topic quite nicely. And just to really, before we, I don't want to take too much of your time. This has been amazing. So before we sort of end off this amazing episode, I just want to talk about you a little bit more and really how you balance pursuing greatness and living life. Right? Because, I mean, the thing is, the reality is we only have one life, and a lot of people get caught up in, I need to live life. Now, how do you balance the pursuit of greatness and balancing life?
Such a great question, man. We were actually talking a little bit about this earlier, and for me, this has actually been really hard to do. Like most entrepreneurs, you have to understand this. It's such a competitive field. Like, everyone's competing for the same price. You have to be now more than ever. You have to be all in. And so for so much of my life, I've been all in on one direction, just in business, just in entrepreneurship. And I neglected so much of my life. And it hit me like a freight train, again, all around January, right? I've now been in Thailand for a year. Praise God, right? Yeah. It was a really hard time making that transition, for sure. It was really, really, really difficult, right? Had a lot of difficulties, right? Yeah. And it was just always kind of in on edge, got to do this, really tough. And then it got to the point where I've been now fully set up for a while. And still, I looked at my life. I live in Bangkok. And got this really nice view, just like the whole kind of city, the river, everything. And I looked and I'm like, I don't feel anything here. Like, I don't feel happy. I don't feel fulfilled. I feel more stressed out. Like, I don't actually feel anything. And my buddy is on the trip to Bali with me. He has such a great perspective on this, because he's like how can me and you look at the same view, and I'm just soaking in the gratitude. So grateful to be here, and I just cannot feel it. Right? Yeah. And that hit me. I'm like, damn, I don't want to live life like this, because then it's just, yes, I know I'm progressing as a person, as a leader, that's all fantastic, and I'm progressing in money, that's great, but if I'm not actually enjoying this life, then what is the point? And so it all just came crashing down, and it really hit me hard. I'm like, fuck, I hate my life. Not in the sense of I want to end it all tonight. Not like that. It's in I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. Yes, business is great. I know I'm a great person. But so what? I don't wake up and I'm not stoked. So what needed to change? And I realized, again, my life was leveraged so far on the business side. I didn't make room for anything else. And I actually watched this video from my first ever mentor, right? When I was, I think 16, I bought a Forex trading course. It was $300. First ever mentor. And he hadn't been creating any content for a while, and he posted this one video and he said, I made $1.2 million and I actually had fun. And I'm like, huh. And I watched this video and he said this one phrase: it just made everything like make sense. And he said, this past year, I didn't optimize for revenue. I optimized for life enjoyment, for fulfillment. And when he said that, is like, I didn't optimize for revenue to make the most amount of money. I optimized for life enjoyment. And what that looks like, optimizing for something, focus, is more about what you eliminate, what you don't do, than what you do. And so what he gave examples of is like, when I saw a business opportunity come up and I knew it would make me not have as much fun in my life and enjoy my life, even though it could make me more money, I didn't do it. When I could have brought on another client who I knew was going to be a headache, I didn't do it. That didn't align with me anymore, right?
Yeah.
And he still cleaned out $1 million in the past year, and he enjoyed it. And I'm like, wow, what if yes, I want to make more money than ever, of course, but what if I actually optimize for like enjoying this life? And when I say that, I don't mean going to clubs, doing stupid crazy shit, buying Rolexes and any of that dumb shit, like just blowing money. By the way, I don't think buying Rolex is dumb shit. I want to buy Rolex, right? That's not dumb.
Yeah,
but I mean, like, enjoying life doesn't have to be anything crazy, stupid, expensive. The change I made actually since then, which now I fully look at my life, I'm like, this is fucking great. I love it. I made 2 changes, practically free. When I wake up, the first thing I do for an hour is work. I need to have that sense of accomplishment in my day, right? So the first thing I do work, right? Literally wake up straight away, brush the teeth. No, don't even brush the teeth. It's literally like the gap that you can reduce between waking up and working. The shorter it is, the better it is. So I literally wake up, bathroom, straight to work. Like within 5 minutes I'm working, right? Still rubbing my eyes, whatever, who cares? Work for an hour. After that's done, I'll go and walk to the coffee shop down the road, right? Previously, because I was optimizing for the time, I'd just make the coffee at home. But I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go and buy it, right? I know Gary Vee says, don't buy the coffee, whatever. I'm buying the coffee, motherfucker. I'm doing what I want to do. So I walk down the street. They know me by name. They know my order now, right? I went from just drinking straight black coffee at home, like real diligent, like now to actually enjoying it, right? It's a really fucking girly drink, but it's an iced caramel macchiato with extra caramel.
Let's go.
Less milk. You know what I'm saying? I like what I like, all right? Fight me. So
I ain't here to judge.
I ain't here to judge, right? I enjoy it. Makes me happy. It's practically free. It's $5, right? Then I come back to the condo. I grab my Kindle, my book, right? I'm taking like a mini speed reading course, and I'll sit out on like this balcony. I've had access to this huge like terrace. It's all mine. I'm the only one on my floor. I've had access to this huge thing, and I never used it. Never used it. And I'm like, fuck, I should probably just sit outside. Sit outside, soak up the sun, do the speed reading thing, drink my coffee, and then after that, I now take out an hour away from work just to do those 2 things. That one shift has made me enjoy my life so much more. It's practically free. Right?
Holy shit.
Right? Yeah. But now it's just like, yeah, I could take that extra hour to work more, maybe an extra sales. Okay, whatever. But if I'm doing all this stuff and I'm like deeply unfulfilled, why does that matter? Who cares? Right? So that cheap ass coffee in the morning, reading my Kindle, getting better at speed reading, go back then after the hour's done, and then get back to work. Sweet! Back in the game.
Yeah.
I even went so far to the point of I used to like leave my calendar open in the evenings from like 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. for sales calls for the American time zone. I even made a really big decision there that, you know what, I want to have my evenings. Because when I do these sales calls, then I fuck up my sleep, and then the whole day is ruined. I'm like, no, I'm optimizing for health. I'm optimizing for enjoyment in my life. And I cut out those time zones. So now, unless it's a special circumstance, I don't do calls in the evening. Yeah, I know I'm missing out on some calls. I can just hire a closer at the right time. They'll take US times. I don't care, right? In doing that, again, I had a record month last month. I've enjoyed my life way more, right? And there's still plenty of time to work. Don't get me wrong. I'm still fucking busting my ass, right? But I just made the decision that I am going to put my foot down and have, in at least my top 2 priority, is some kind of fulfillment outside of work. And it's not expensive, right?
Yeah. Corbin, I want to touch on something there, 2 things, right? What I've noticed is, because this is maybe a belief I need to shift to, and I think it's really, really interesting that you bring that up. I think we, as humans, we do really well under pressure. Like, do you remember when you were back in school and you had a project due in like a day, and you somehow made it work?
Yeah,
You don't know how, but you made it work, right?
Yeah,
now, the same thing here, right? By you taking your evenings, by you taking that hour after you work for an hour to have the coffee, read, aren't you more focused? Aren't you more just so much more locked? Because you know the time is limited, as opposed to I have the whole day to work.
Bro,
How much
spot
more
on.
are you locked in?
My God, yeah. I didn't even realize it until you mentioned it. But before, when my life was just optimized for the one thing, like there are like moments of downtime or when you're on the phone for a little bit. And I really like, if I actually just calculated all that time, that would be the equivalent of getting the coffee, reading, or doing whatever, right? And so now, exactly what you said, I'm just more intentional with the time, have less time at my disposal. Great, well, now I actually need to prioritize, go hard, right? I agree 100%. Yeah. It's spot on.
Yeah, that's insane. Now, the other thing I wanted to touch on was, because I feel like I struggle with this limiting belief maybe, is my snake, right? And this tattoo, people, it's funny because people in South Africa are like, you like snakes? I'm like, no, not necessarily. That's not the reason I have that. The reason I have that tattoo is because of someone that means a ton to me, and that is Kobe Bryant. And the reason he means a ton to me is because what I respected about him so much. If you don't know, he passed away tragically in 2020. Crash.
Yeah.
And what I respected about him so much is his undeniable pursuit of perfection and of greatness. He was chasing God, pretty much. He was chasing Michael Jordan, who was pretty much had the perfect career, right? He was untouched in the final. He broke so many records. He was chasing. Kobe Bryant decided, I'm gonna chase Mike. I'm gonna chase Mike. Right. And he had this drive. He was willing to do whatever it frickin' took. And basically what this represents is the Mamba mentality. And the Mamba mentality means showing up for yourself the best you can every single day. And that's what it represents. And that's why I have that tattoo. And the reason why I want to share this is because I sometimes get very caught up in Kobe Bryant. For me, I don't know, I sort of had a different perspective shift quite recently because he slept four hours a day, most days, right? He's known for not a lot of sleep because he was at a point where, okay, what should I sacrifice? Time with my family or sleep? No, I'm going to sacrifice sleep because I'm not going to sacrifice basketball, right? And for me, that's really interesting because, first of all, it shows me what desire can do. Like, think about it. For 20 years straight, he almost had 4 hours of sleep. I mean, we've had people like, what's his name? Elon Musk, similar situation, right? Now that shows me what the mind is capable of, right? It just shows me it's insane, right? I don't know if you've heard of hysterical strength, for example. I don't want to go into that, but it's crazy what the mind is capable of. Now the problem I have with the 4 hours of sleep is Kobe wasn't optimizing for health. He wasn't optimizing to live long. He wasn't optimizing for any of that. The only thing he was optimizing for was chasing Michael Jordan and
greatness.
Right? Greatness. Now, we live in a field where mentally we need to be very sharp too. And if I get 4 hours of sleep, I mean, just one night, I can feel it the next day. Like, my productivity ain't there, my focus ain't there, all these things. Now, one thing I always said was, I will not sacrifice sleep. Maybe in the short term a little bit, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, as you
Yeah, man.
said, like, what's the point if at 50 you got all these health issues, you age dramatically, if but you have $1 million, but you only have one life, and then what, right? So if there's one thing I've really made a shift for was really optimizing for health, and yes, still having certain character traits from Kobe Bryant, 100%, but sleeping, right? Another thing
That's
what
right.
you mentioned was I get stuck in this, and I I need to shift this belief, I know, because I know that if I do reward myself, how much more focused I am the next day, because I almost have this desire of like, shit, bro, you rewarded yourself. Yesterday I went for a haircut, and it took a little bit longer than expected. I look fresh, I know. Yeah, say it.
My man, my man. Yeah,
So it
yeah.
took a little bit longer than expected. And guess what happened? After that, I went straight back to work, and I was so locked in because I took the time. But guess what? In the moment, I told myself, no, enjoy this, right? Just take it in, be in the moment. And I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like we get too caught up in, again, the reason why I'm sharing this, we get too caught up in what's next, what's next. And we don't take the time to enjoy the moment, right? And
I agree,
it's
man.
a really interesting, because you sort of, we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, which was actually the reason we hopped on this podcast. And since then, I really appreciate you bringing that up and breaking my beliefs a little bit, because I've really started to live in the moment a lot more. And it's just these little shifts
Solid,
I've
man.
made that have dramatically increased the quality of my life. And I just want to thank you for that.
Oh, brother, my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. I actually learned this from someone who lives in Bangkok as well. Very successful guy. His name's Jack Hopkins.
Yeah.
You may know him. He's always been known as like the CEO of testosterone. Right?
I know, Jab. Are you in are you his friend?
No, I'm not his friend. I know
Oh,
of
okay.
him. I went to a couple of his fights.
Okay.
You know him personally?
Yeah. No, I don't know him personally. I've
Right,
watched
right.
some of his YouTube videos.
One of the things that he said on his stories, I caught it once. Beautiful. And he said, because his journey was so interesting as well. He went to Samui, like broke as a joke, and just built up this personal brand. And now he's
Yeah.
Jack Hopkins, right? And he said, it got to a point where I realized I'm not going to wait for riches to be happy. I'm just going to be happy now. And I watched his track record. He just fucking exploded. Personal brand, income, fulfillment. Like, he just exploded. And I'm like, I want that. Like, deciding to be like, I'm not going to delay it. I'm going to be fulfilled now, and money will come to me. Yeah. That shift is incredible. And to kind of bring this full circle, like I actually posted on my Instagram. It was like for a birthday post, right? And one of the things that I mentioned there was one of the lessons I've learned is success. Imagine success like a woman, okay? Like a beautiful woman, high value woman, right? She ain't getting with no scared cowards, scared to take the leap, don't have the stomach for it, don't got the balls to make the decision, right? She ain't getting with those guys. She's also not getting with the needy guys that need her. She's getting with the guys that they're on their mission, they know who they are, strong, they're confident, they're a capable leader. She's going to feel safe with him. She's going to feel like this guy can grow me. I'm going to grow with this guy. He's not going to squander me, right? If I give myself to some loser, it's all going to be over, right? I'm going to be depleted. No, I'm going to give myself over to a capable leader. But someone who's not needy for me, right? Someone who's going to sacrifice for me, work hard for me. Essentially, imagine now this woman's part of your family. You're providing for them. Someone who's going to go to fucking war, right? Get the job done. That's who she wants. But someone who's not like needy for her, right? Yeah. And that to me like resembled like Jack Hopkins' mindset. Is like, I'm not going to wait to be happy, wait to be fulfilled before I have money. I'm going to be happy, fulfilled now. Money will come. And when I made that shift at the beginning of the year, again, more money has come. More fulfillment has come. more opportunity have come my way. It's like, I never had this level of abundance when I was like, need to sacrifice. Like, you know, never had this kind of certainty in myself in the attraction that I know is between me and money. She fucking loves me, right?
Yeah.
She's all over me, type shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that, and that for me has been like just an incredible shift. You know what I mean? That coupled with, of course, working hard, working my ass off. If there's any like downtime, all I can think about is just building. All I can think about is work. Like me and my buddy, I was trying to wrap up work. I'm trying to like finish all the modules, that kind of thing, and then like sunset, no more daylight. I was like fucking pissed. I'm like, oh my God, like I needed to finish this shit. Fuck. And then we drove, went to some bar. All I could think about from the second I left was like, oh, I just want to get back home. I need to work. Right? That I don't consider needy. That's a passion for building. I just want to build. Nothing else interests me but building. Of course, I'm still fulfilled. I'm out here in Bali. We get to go on little cruises. I'm fulfilled. But the thing that fulfills me the most is building. Like, to kind of answer your question at the start, like how do I balance it? It's definitely not even. I definitely put in more work than I do like take a step back and enjoy it, but I love it that way. Like each to their own. Some people need that, you know, hard 50-50 balance to be in the game. That's not me. I need to like be building. I need to keep at it. That's my thing. But then balancing it with like coffee and reading, like sweet, I'm good to go. Right?
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective. Most people are like, that's not living life. I do that every day.
Yeah, I fucking love that. That to me is
but exactly. And I just think back to, Ruben, what are we optimizing for? We're optimizing for happiness and fulfillment. And I'm not going to be anyone's judge. Like, if you want to, I don't know, go out every single weekend, and if you feel like that makes you happy, by all means, my brother, please, I'm not here to stop you. And at the same time, I'm optimizing for happiness too, because genuinely, I resonate with you so much. I would not rather want to be doing anything else than waking up on a Saturday morning, doing an hour of work, and then hopping on with you on a podcast, right? I love life, and I'm about to head to the gym, but I love it. I absolutely love it, and I wouldn't have it any other way because it fulfills me.
For sure. And I'll be honest, for anyone watching this, that like, I remember hearing this from people when I started, and I was intimidated as, I'm like, I'm not like that. How do I get like, I was not born like this. Like, I would be watching an hour of Netflix for every 30 minutes of work I do, feeling accomplished, right? Like, it definitely progresses over time. You don't start out this way, but the longer you stay in the game, the more you become like this naturally. Like, you just realize, like, the world is out there to fucking be conquered, and you've got something special. Like, if anyone can do it, it's you. You owe it to God. You owe it to yourself, your family, to be the one who's going to put it all on the line and actually go for it, right? You owe it to them, to your bloodline, to do it. And like eventually it just kind of just like really kicks in. You're like, I just want to stay here, just want to build. I know what I can achieve here. And that, like, when you have that confidence, you're like, none of the other shit interests me. I will say on the other side of the coin as well though, for the people who are like, nah, you know what, I want the Netflix, I want to go out and party, that's okay. Like you said, no judgment, live your life. But if that is what you are optimizing for, if that is what you're saying yes to, you are saying no to massive success, massive growth, right? So don't complain about results you didn't get for work you didn't put in. If this is the life you want, live for the weekend and you're happy, go for it. I actually do envy a lot of 9-to-5 people who are set, they're happy, right? They've got their thing, it's no like high level of stress, the boss tells them what to do, like, great. Good on you, right? I'm thinning. My hair is thinning because of stress, right? I need to go to fucking Turkey, right? But like, if that's your life, that's what you want. Genuinely respect if you're content with it. But if this is your life and you're upset about it, you've only got yourself to blame. Like, make a change or stop moaning. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's always the cost. There's always a cost associated, and it's just what cost are you willing to live with? Short-term sacrifice, short-term pain, or the cost of regret?
Exactly, man. I know what side I'm on, and I've worked for 5 years as an entrepreneur to build this mentality. I'm not going back. I can't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Right. That's what, when I die, it'll be this that I'm most proud of. I'm already most proud of this up here. Right.
Yeah.
So I know what side of the fence I'm on. Right.
Yeah.
I know, similar to you, that because of the work we put in, because of the sacrifices that we have made and continue to make and will continue to make, we have earned the right to feel superior. We have earned the right to feel like we're the fucking G's, because we are. There's entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, baby. You got to decide who you're going to be. That's it.
Yeah. And just to end this off real quick, because you mentioned something quite profound, and then I think we can leave it at that. It's just for anyone listening to this who is, like I said, nowhere, starting out, and they really want it, right? Corbin mentioned something quite profound, because you said you weren't always like this. You did reward yourself with Netflix an hour and all these things. And the point I'm trying to make is, look, we all start somewhere, right? And being in the position we are in right now, which is absolutely nowhere, but it's somewhere, because I always look at it like we absolutely dog shit, because that's how I need to think if I want to get anywhere. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you're starting out, I need you to realize that the more you achieve, the more you think you can achieve. Yeah. So take one step at a time. Put one foot in front of the other, because I promise you, once you start achieving little things, you'll start to get curious to see, okay, I achieved this. This is amazing. What's next? What's next? But you need to get going. And once you get going, it's like a snowball. And once that snowball gets rolling, baby, it ain't stopping, and it's just getting bigger.
It's that momentum. Spot on, brother. Well said. Like, for anyone watching, like, if you haven't been able to get out of your comfort zone and achieve something extraordinary, I was exactly in that position as well. I started just like that. I was a nobody. I had no like strong mindset, except I knew about work ethic from my parents, and then that only kept on growing year after year. The more I realized how important it was. But no one starts off like this. You build it. And that's the beautiful thing about this journey, is it's not about the dollar figure you make. It's about becoming the person who can make that dollar figure over and over and over again. So yeah.
Beautiful. Let's end it off there, my brother. This was an absolute pleasure having you on. It was really an interesting conversation, a beautiful conversation. Time flew like crazy.
I know, man. I know.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, brother. Thank you for everyone who stayed through and watched. If you want to follow me, it's at Corbin Silk on Instagram. You can chat to me there as well. Dominic, thank you, brother. My pleasure. Love having you.
For sure, my brother, for sure. And anyone listening who wants to start out their coaching journey, maybe as a fitness coach or anything like that, who wants to get into this, into creating the life of their dreams, independence, financial freedom, living wherever they want, and just creating their dream life. Corbin's your man. I trust him. So feel free to reach out to him.
Brother.
He just said his Instagram handle, so just that's where they can reach you, correct?
At Corbin Silk, or our funnel, sixfigurefitpro.co. You can find all the information there, some of the case studies, watch some trainings for free. That's our resources, brother. But thank you so much for having me on. Appreciate the plug. And I definitely will be chatting to you again soon, man. Thank you.
For sure. Let's make it happen.
Catch you. Bye.